Welcome back to the I Beg to Differ podcast. This is a podcast where we recap some of our favorite shows, movies, documentaries, all that good stuff. My name is Candace, and I have with me my co-host, my sister Monica, and today we're going to jump into Love Is Blind season 5, episodes 1 through 4. So this is just the first drop. So I watched every season of Love Is Blind. Monica kind of tuned into the first season, but we pulling her in with us this time around. So overall, Monica, like, what did you feel about these first set of episodes? Is it something you think you'd be interested in watching going forward? Was it okay? What do you think?
Yeah, so it was okay. But I feel like it's gonna get better
Hmm.
because I feel like the rooms where they're kind of just talking to each other and can't see each other, they don't be as interesting for me. But now that I've
Yeah.
seen the trailer of the rest of the season, I'm like, okay. And then kind of once it got to 3 and 4 and it got a
Hmm.
little beefed up a little bit, I was like, okay, I
Hmm.
like it.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah, I'm
agree.
liking it. I
I
just can't wait
agree.
till they're all like in front of each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually the good part, and then also sometimes, like, it'll be, like, somebody took their second choice. So, like, say we'll get to it, but, like, say Chris went ahead and proposed to Johnny, so then Izzy would see what Johnny looked like, and if he liked Johnny better than Stacy, he might be like, "What you on?" Like, that's what they be doing. So episode 1, we see Nick and Vanessa, they're the hosts. They're visiting the 2 living quarters, the guys and the girls. They kind of talking to people. Chris saying something about he people think he a playboy based off his looks. Chris not ugly, don't get me wrong, but he not like pretty boy all that where I would think he was like a player. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't really think Chris is a player. I mean, actually,
Right.
as you get to know him better too, nah, I wouldn't
Yeah,
think he was a
exactly.
player.
And then there was Yeah, and then there was this guy, Jared, that I don't think we really saw any more of, saying something about women
Mm-mm.
not liking him because he's skinny or something. And I'm just like, just stop. You just wanted to say
Yeah,
something. So
yeah,
Vanessa asking the ladies, what's a question they're dying to ask a man that they normally wouldn't ask on a date, like if they're meeting in person. And then Linda gonna talk about some, have you ever been to therapy? What is it like? I mean, I'm not against therapy, but like it seems like people are a little obsessed with therapy these days. Like it should be normal. Like if somebody feels like they need to, like I'm all for it, but it's like just because somebody hasn't gone to therapy doesn't mean there's something wrong with them.
yeah. I think for sure, like now, I feel like therapy is like the new nail shop and spa day. Like, it's just the new it thing
Mhm.
for most people. I mean,
Yeah.
which I get it,
Yep.
but sometimes I don't get it. Like just the
Right.
way people like glamorize it when it should be for mental health. It shouldn't be like to glamorize, oh, I have a
Mhm.
therapist, like, oh, I have a hairstylist. So
Right, exactly. I completely agree with that. And then Aaliyah says something about, do you have any weird fetishes, is what she wants to ask. And are you gonna be sucking my toes every day? What was your first
yeah.
impression of Aaliyah? Did you like her?
I mean, I like her, but I don't know. First impression was okay, but as time went
Yeah.
on, too, it's like I feel like she be kind of like just ready to cry and like do stuff just on
Mhm.
demand. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it be a
Yeah,
little
because
much
some
for me
people was
sometimes with her.
saying, yeah, I was seeing some people commenting saying like she be crying, air quotes, but don't know tears be coming out. There's no tear production with these cries. So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
you. I'm with you. So basically in the experiment, they spend 10 days in the pods. And then after that, they're going to be engaged for 28 days. So part of that 28 days, they'll do the little, like honeymoon, but not really because they ain't technically married. And I guess they do in Mexico again. I don't know, for like a week or something. And then they go and they live in an apartment together. And then, they have to make a decision at the altar after the 28 days. We meet a few people we meet Chandra. I don't know why they open up with her because we didn't really see her no more. So I'm not gonna really talk about her. So then Stacy, we meet her. She's a operations manager. She's 33. She's the blonde one,
Mm-hmm.
the skinny blonde one. And
Mm-hmm.
she got this man laying on the floor doing core exercises for her. I'm just like,
Yes, I was
what?
like, what? Yeah, I was like, what with Stacy? Oh my gosh.
Then we meet Uche. He's
Yeah.
33, lawyer, and he talking about marriage success statistics. I'm like, he a little too analytical. Like he doing too much. That's a turn off for most women, I feel like.
Yeah, he very analytical and also like it seemed like he real assertive.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Agreed.
very.
Agreed. Like I feel like when he has conversations with folks, he's very like, I know he a lawyer, but it's like he go interrogation mode. It's like he don't give them space to
Yeah,
ask him anything. He just like follow up question, follow up question, follow up question. But like, do they get to ask a question?
exactly.
Okay, so now we meet Lydia. She's 30, geologist, and she's from Puerto Rico, but she got a strong accent. So now sometimes people can't understand what she's saying. So she on a date with Ernesto. He's 31, a manager. I don't know what it just said manager. And she asked him if he's a morning person, and he thought she said horny person. So I thought that was funny. And so he was
Yeah.
just so
Yeah,
confused.
Lydia have real good energy.
Yeah, she do. For
Yeah.
now, we'll get into Lydia, honey. So Lydia
Yeah.
says she has been called too much in the past and stuff. But she feels like for the right person, she's not too much. So she's like I said, she's a geologist. She has another date with Milton. So Milton, he's 24, he's an engineer. They're talking about rocks and all this stuff because she's a geologist. He's into some kind of rocks. I don't know what he was talking about. And she just keep calling him a nerd. I'm like, why she keep calling him a nerd? Like, you know the stuff too. You a nerd
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So then she
Yeah, she
finally,
was getting on my nerves with the whole nerd. And then
yeah.
wasn't Aaliyah saying that a couple of times about somebody? I don't know, maybe
Yeah,
not.
Uche,
Maybe
I
not.
think. Well,
Yeah,
Leah
yeah, I
was
think
trying to
she
say
mentioned
about
that word
herself
a
too,
couple of times
though.
too. I'm like, whatever.
So
Whatever.
then she asked him his age, and once she found out he's 24, she just completely writes him off due to the age difference. What did you think? Like, I don't know. I think the age difference can be okay, but I also think that Milton is just don't give mature energy to
Yeah.
me, just how he's talking. So I don't think the age difference would really work for them.
Um, I guess maybe in the beginning I could see that, but as time went on, maybe not so much.
Hmm.
I almost feel like it could.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was a flop with them two now, like you say, we'll get into it later, it would be more on
Yeah.
Lydia and not Milton. So, but
Okay.
yeah, in the beginning, I could get where that kind of come off. Yeah.
Yeah. So Milton basically says she's his number one, but she says like in her confessional that he's too young for her. So then Lydia and Izzy have a date. Izzy's 29. He's an insurance agent. Lydia, she's Puerto Rican and Izzy is Hispanic. So they connect there. They both speak Spanish. Izzy's bio, though, because I don't know if you looked at the cast bio because we didn't get a chance to go through the cast bios on the
No.
channel. But Izzy's bio from the cast drop that's on the Netflix website says his dream girl, Monica, would be able to join him in the gym or on the beach for sand volleyball. If she has blonde hair and beautifully colored eyes, it's a plus. Lydia is not Izzy's type. Izzy is listening to them voices. You hear talking about some, oh, when he said to the one girl, you're the best voice I've heard yet. He's listening. Are you white? Are you white? That's what I'm looking for. What do
So
you
yeah, so
think?
it's crazy you say that because I did not know that, but that's definitely the vibe I got from him. I didn't even know he was had some Hispanic
Mhm,
heritage to him because I literally felt like he was unattracted to Lydia because she was Hispanic. And I was like,
mhm,
what is wrong with this dude?
mhm.
And so now that
Yeah.
you say that, I knew I was picking up that vibe. I knew it. Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah, and then we'll get into it, but I think maybe he has just some issues, some, like, identity issues just with the stuff with his family and stuff, but, like, we'll get into that, with some of the conversations he had, but yeah, I'm just like, "Lydia, girl, it ain't gonna work." So then,
Yeah.
he been single for 2 years, and then he's talking about he's insecure about his bald head. That's what he's saying in his confessional. And he says he was out at a bar and some girl took off his hat and she said "ew" and walked out. I'm just like, maybe you in a bar with some college girls or something then. You shouldn't have been in that bar. Cause what 30-year-old woman would do that?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? This had to be
Exactly.
like a 22, 23-year-old or something.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just like, okay, Izzy. So then Izzy goes on a date with Stacy. Immediately, I'm thinking about the bios. I'm like, Stacy is his type. You know what I mean? I look at
Yeah.
her. He's like, he wants somebody that's athletic, clearly, because he wants them to be in the gym and stuff. She's real skinny. She's blonde. Is screaming his type. So they had some good and fun chemistry, I thought. And they talk about like, I guess he know how to do all these Latina dancing styles or whatever, Latin dancing styles. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think they had good chemistry. In the beginning, I was a little I was kind of wondering about her,
Hmm.
but I think they had really good chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah, I
like
think
at
they
first
were all
I was
right.
kind of wondering was it genuine on his part or was he just like a ladies' man?
Mhm.
But I think, yeah,
Yeah.
so far from what I've seen, they got good chemistry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So then we see Izzy and Johnny go on a date. So Johnny, she's 30 and she's a lawyer. She basically says she has a bad track record with relationships and she kind of opens up about dating people in the past with addiction issues. Um, and then they both kind of like they bond over the fact that Izzy's been engaged before and Johnny is divorced. Did you kind of see it for these two? This is the one where he said, "Oh, you've had the best voice yet."
Okay, so for these two, no, I felt like I automatically picked up that she was gonna be more
Mhm.
into him than he was into her. And
Okay.
then I also think it kind of really worked out for the best on both parts because I think when he would have saw Johnny, he would have been less attracted to her than he was to Stacy. Now hearing what you were
Yeah.
saying about his profile.
Mhm.
So,
Agreed.
and Johnny almost seems like she would be too much of a homebody for him. I get
Mhm.
homebody type from her.
Yeah, and she's a lawyer. She was saying she got to read like a lot of contracts and stuff. So she probably sits at home and like brings her work home and stuff sometimes too.
Yeah.
So then we get
Yeah. So
Johnny. She opens up in her confessional about her mom who told her, maybe you're not meant to be in a relationship, which is kind of effed up thing for your mom to say. But it was just after she noticed the patterns in Johnny's past relationships. So you could tell that really bothered her. It was messed up that her mama said that. But like, I don't know. Like based off some of the stuff she said, I don't know. I don't know. Cause I don't know if she's just not good at picking men or what it is, but she done been through some things, honey.
yeah. Yeah, she definitely have. I mean, you can tell too in like some of her conversations and stuff,
Mhm.
that she definitely probably done been through some stuff.
Yeah. So then Johnny goes on a date with Chris. He's 27. He's a project manager. She kind of opens up about her past relationships with him, and they seem to hit it off really good. I liked them. I thought they had really great chemistry. I liked them together.
Yeah, I like them too.
All right, so
Yeah.
then that's the first round of dates, right? So we get this scene of
Hmm.
Stacy. I don't know if they was trying to set Stacy up to be the villain or what was happening, but it's her talking about all the guys she didn't like. So she's saying JP. She made him do the Pilates on the floor. That's the one who was on the floor doing Pilates. Ernesto burped in her face, let her tell it, even though they in the pods, and didn't say excuse me. Milton, she said the date was just awkward. And she hit her head on her notepad so much that she left a makeup mark on it with Milton. And then she started not the one I really didn't like when she started making fun of Carter, calling him anything in a can Carter and cheap beer Carter. Like, that was
Oh,
rude.
yeah.
That was rude.
Yeah.
The other 3,
Yeah.
okay, but you didn't like that was kinda like a low blow to me. But I felt
Yeah.
like they trying to set her up to be like a villain or something, I don't know.
Yeah,
And then
kinda
we
like a
find out a
mean
lot of
girl.
the ladies are yeah, a lot of the ladies are interested in Izzy. Were you surprised, like, so many of the girls were like, "Izzy's in my top, Izzy's in my top."
Not really, cause he kinda come off like that, sorta. So I feel like, yeah,
Mhm.
he kinda got that talk game down, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
then after that, we meet Taylor. She's 25, she's a teacher. Excuse me, she talks about her insecurities in the confessional and how she struggled with loving herself. So I thought that was like I like the fact that she was vulnerable about it because, not everybody's going to talk about that on TV. And, she felt like she kind of let herself go at some point, but now she's finally like learned to love herself again and stuff. So she goes on a date with JP. He's 30, he's a firefighter. Were you at all concerned about their age difference or are we more concerned when it's the reverse when the woman's older? Just wondering.
I'm not concerned about their age difference. I don't
Hmm.
think you know me, I'm not very much concerned about age differences,
Yeah.
really.
Okay. So then
Yeah.
I wasn't really concerned either because she seemed pretty mature in my opinion. So I wasn't really worried
Yeah.
about it. And then
Mm-mm.
she's already in her career because she's a teacher. She's a kindergarten teacher. And she teaches at the elementary school that JP went to as a child, which is kind of cool. So that means they're kind of both familiar with the area and stuff.
Yeah.
So they talk about their expectations of starting a family. Like she wants to like be married for a couple of years before starting a family because they both feel like once you have children, your life is about the children. So they want to enjoy being married first. And
Yeah.
then he asks if she can cook, and she says she can all right. Like, she's getting better at it. He's like, "Don't worry, you ain't gotta cook. I'll cook for you." Which those firefighters, they be knowing how to cook because they gotta cook for themselves at the firehouse or
Yeah.
whatever. And so,
Yeah.
she asked him like what he's good at cooking. He's saying like prime rib, chicken Alfredo, and she wants some. Can you make grilled cheese? I'm like,
Yeah. She cracked
girl.
me up with that. Yeah. That was funny.
He was like, huh? I could tell he was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I think he even said cheese and bread or something.
Yeah, he was like, so just bread and cheese. She's like, yeah, that's like my favorite. I'm pretty sure he like, yeah, I ain't letting you cook.
Yeah.
But at the end of the conversation, they agree that they have similar values. So, what do you think of them overall? A hit?
Yeah, I like them as a couple. Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, I like them. They just don't make good TV.
Mhm.
They kind of boring. So we're gonna kind of skim through them going forward.
Okay.
They ain't got no drama. Everybody else got something.
Yeah.
So then Uche, he's discussing wanting to narrow his choices down, like he's talking to the guys in the lounge. So he has this date with Miriam. She's 31. She's a scientist in air quotes because we don't know what Miriam really is. So apparently she's Nigerian, just like Uche, and she came to the US for education. At the time she wanted to be a doctor, but she decided to stick to like the sciences and stuff. So she says she's a
Yeah.
scientist, but when he asked her what industry or whatever, what type of scientist she is, she doesn't really give an answer. She's like, "Oh, I've worked in multiple industries." And then she was like, "But I work in academia now overseas in the Middle East." And he's like, "Oh," but she's like, "But I'm moving back to Houston." Then he's like, "Oh, okay, when are you moving back?" She's like, "Oh, I already moved back." So it's like, well, girl, which one is it? It's like she just keep telling lies. Then she talking
Yeah.
about she got she's like, but I think my business is gonna take off. He's like, oh, what kind of business do you have? And then she was like, skincare. And then he was like trying to get a little more information, which he was asking a lot of questions here too. It was kind of like interrogation. Uche let her get some questions in. But
Yeah,
then he
yeah,
was like not giving any details once again. So I just felt like Miriam was giving scammer. What did you think about
yeah.
Miriam?
Yeah, she was. I felt like, yeah, he was interrogating her, but at the same time, just say what you do. Like, just
Exactly.
put it out there real quick. It don't even take long.
Like, she wouldn't even
So,
really say what her major was or, like, what type of scientist she was. It was she was being so vague
hmm,
about everything, like, "Do you not know what you do?"
yeah,
So I'm just like,
yeah,
"Girl, okay." So then Uche goes on a date with Aaliyah. So I guess Aaliyah and Miriam must have been, like, his top 2, and then once he had that date with Miriam, he was like, "I'm good on her." So Aaliyah, she's 28, she's an ICU nurse. Aaliyah thinks that her liking to read and play solitary makes her a nerd. What did you think
yeah.
about that? Like,
I
just because
thought
you
that was
read?
crazy. And I feel like why keep using the word nerd? Because I feel like it's used so heavy in school to like bully people. Like, why
Mhm.
do you keep using this word?
Yeah. I think it's
Like,
this thing with, like, I don't know. It's like this certain group of black people that's like that too. Like, they get something to brag on. Like, I'm such a nerd. I like Harry Potter and I like da 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 da. Da." Like, we don't
yeah,
care. We don't care.
yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
like
yeah.
those
That's
things
true
too, but
too.
I ain't walking around calling myself a nerd.
Exactly.
Like, so I was just like, "Come on, girl, let's not do this." And so then, although he is a lawyer, Uche owns a software company, and it's like, okay, so he doesn't really like. It seems like he doesn't practice law. He just has his own like software company now. And he likes her ambition. That I like. I like ambition, but sometimes I don't want. I don't like people that are attracted to ambition. Sometimes, like I don't know. I'm not saying they shouldn't want their partner to want more, but don't date me off of potential. Like, I want you to,
Yeah.
like, love me for who I am right now
Hmm.
and not, like, be trying to force me into what you want me to become. And I felt like
Yeah.
Uche was giving that vibe. What you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I think for sure. I think he definitely was attracted to her because he felt like she was gonna fit his level or whatever.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So then we get Aaliyah talking about physical intimacy being important, and I felt like this was kinda like them, what's the word called? Kinda like getting us ready for what was to come at the end of the episode. I'll be forgetting the word, but you know what I'm talking about. So, anyways,
yeah.
then we get all these scenes where everybody talking about sex and stuff. And then so I was like, Lord, I ain't even really write nothing else on that. Did you have anything on that?
No.
Okay. So Izzy, he got his options and he's mainly focused though, it seems like on Stacy and Johnny. So Izzy and Johnny, they discuss that they are each other's strongest connection at this particular point in time. And then Johnny, she has a date with Chris and they discuss how they lost their virginity. And Chris opens up about essentially being sexually assaulted by this girl in Mexico and that's how he lost his virginity. It's so tough, I feel like, to have that conversation, I'm sure, with somebody you were just meeting. You know what I mean? It's probably only a
Yeah.
few days into the pods, and then you're not having it face to face. You can't see their facial expressions. You can't see how they're receiving the information that you're telling them. But I feel like
Yeah.
Johnny handled this really well, and she was very understanding and really reassured him that he was valid in how he felt because he was. What did you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think she handled it real well. And I think I kind of felt for him because it's really hard for guys to talk about that type of stuff.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
really felt bad for him.
Yeah, I agree. Like even as a woman, it's hard. It's especially hard for guys, I'm sure, because like there's been times where like I felt like I didn't want to do stuff, but like I was just like so insecure in myself and just didn't continue to say no. You know what I mean? And then I just felt like
Yeah.
I just went
Yeah.
with it. So like I understood exactly where he was coming from. And I felt so bad because you could tell it's still like it was still weighing on him, you know what I mean? And it may have been the first time he's
Yeah.
really expressed that to somebody, I could tell too, probably. So I was glad
Yeah,
he
that's
felt comfortable enough with Johnny to talk about it.
yeah, that's kind of how I felt too. Like I really felt bad for him, but I think he definitely you could tell he felt very comfortable with her. So,
Mhm. I agree.
so
But I
yeah.
really like their chemistry overall. They seem to like I mean, I just like their chemistry. They just felt like they were on the same page. They felt like they had known each other for years, honestly. So then
Exactly.
we get Lydia and Izzy. They discuss how they are in relationships. Lydia, it's very clear that she's more into him than he is into her, in my opinion. And it seemed like in this particular conversation, we'll get to the next one, but this one he was trying to let her down easy. He was trying,
Yeah.
like, he was like, I think he even asked her about her other connections and stuff. And she like that should have been your sign, like, girl, this man ain't gonna care about your other connections if he wants you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, that should be your
Yep.
sign, like, back off a little bit, but nope, Lydia didn't.
She kept going.
So then we get Uche and Aaliyah. They have another little quick date. We don't gotta talk too much about it. They had good chemistry, it seemed like. They both like writing poetry. Aaliyah's favorite movie is Love Jones. They both play the guitar. That was really it with that date. Kinda meh, boring. Taylor and JP, we ain't gonna talk about them. They was boring. They got good chemistry. Very wholesome. That's all I see.
Yeah.
Lydia, she talks to Stacy about Izzy. At this point, she doesn't know that Izzy is also Stacy's number one. So she's talking to Stacy and saying Izzy's her number one. And Stacy is basically holding her cards close to her chest. And I would do the same because these women are catty. If Izzy ain't gonna say my name to y'all, I ain't telling y'all I'm talking to Izzy. Because y'all might try to start bad mouthing me to
Exactly.
Izzy. Because they
Exactly.
clearly are very catty in here. So
Mhm.
Lydia and Izzy finally have another date. She says she misses him, and you could tell all on his face that he's like, damn, 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 damn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
basically
you
he
could for real.
yeah, so he just tells her that he's developed stronger connections with other women. And she just keeps probing him. It's like, girl, just take it for what it is. He don't
Yeah,
want
and just
you.
move
No
on.
amount of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like no amount of questions you ask is gonna
Yeah.
change how he feels. So she
No.
cried and stuff or whatever. And it's like, girl. So Lydia um comes to the lounge crying and Aaliyah consoles her. So then this is the big part of episode one. Uche and Aaliyah, they discussing deal breakers. They both agree on dishonesty being their deal breaker. Uche asks Aaliyah if she's ever cheated, and she admits that she did 2 years ago. So he says, oh, so you're a recent cheater. And so she's like, don't say it like that. Now, I did not like Uche in his mom. It was a funny scene to watch for me. But he was coming on a little hard,
Yeah.
but Aaliyah didn't have to do the fake tears and stuff either. So
Yeah,
what did
yeah,
you
he
think
came
about
on
this
pretty strong.
scene?
Yeah, he did come off very strong. He kind of just like interrogated her
Mhm.
about it. So yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah. It was hard for me because it seemed like he was taking the ex's side. Like he was
Mhm. It
acting
do for
like she
real.
cheated on him.
Yeah, yeah, he was. I think that's the lawyer in him too.
I agree. He just came out really judgmental.
Yeah.
And then I really didn't like how he asked her if she has more girlfriends or guy friends. That didn't sit right with me. Now,
Oh
I feel like he
yeah.
really took it too far there.
Yeah, yeah. He shouldn't have did that.
Yeah. So that was like the main part that I felt like he took too far. So then she walks out in tears, and then Lydia comes to comfort her, which we'll get on Lydia because I didn't realize how messy she was gonna be. And Lydia's basically, and then she basically telling her to not talk to Uche. She had ulterior motives now that we know the full facts. Remember in that scene, she was like, he
Yeah.
doesn't deserve you, and da 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 da. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Lydia was a mess.
So that's where we end episode 1. We should be able to go through the rest of the episodes pretty fast because they just pack so much in that first episode sometimes. So now episode 2, we get Milton and Lydia. She's opening up about Izzy cutting her off, and she says she craves so bad to be loved, Monica. Lydia just wants to be loved. Milton feels
Yeah,
like he
Lydia is
had
a
to grow
mess.
up really fast at a young age, and he had an associate degree as a high school junior, which was really big. I was like, he must be really smart. So
Yeah, yeah, he
then
seems really smart.
mhm, he asked if she could see herself marrying him. She says yes today, but yesterday not so much. He asked her why, and she claims it's because he was vulnerable today. But no, you couldn't see yourself marrying him yesterday because you thought Izzy still wanted your ass, and he didn't.
Yep.
So tell the truth,
Mm-hmm.
Lydia. This your backup plan.
Yep.
So then we get Taylor and
Yeah,
JP.
Lydia.
We get Taylor and JP. JP, he's sharing about his mom's, like, I don't know if I want to call her abusive. It came off like he was saying she was abusive though to his sisters growing up. And it sounds like basically she took her anger out with their dad out on his sisters. Um, and Taylor was just kind of there to kind of work through that stuff with him. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was nice of him to open up about it because it's hard for guys to open up about stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
So that lets you know that he definitely feels like safe, talking to her about that type of stuff and vulnerable.
Yeah, I agree. JP though, please let this American flag go. I'm side eyeing because without me saying what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
So then Uche and Aaliyah, they have a date to kind of talk things out. She lets him know that she felt judged and like he didn't feel like she was worthy to be with him anymore. And he asked if he said those things. She's like, nigga, yes. But she didn't say nigga. But basically she said, yeah, you did say that.
yeah,
And he does
yeah,
apologize at least. It says he was just surprised that by the information. And then he asked her if they move forward, does she think that they wouldn't have another disagreement like that? And she's like, no, I know we would. And I'm just like, no, you don't have to. Why do like you're gonna have disagreements, but it shouldn't be a disagreement like that where your partner's judging you. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
yes, we'll have
yeah,
another disagreement, but it shouldn't go the way that that one just did.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree with that because that was a little harsh.
Yeah. Like he was fair in his feelings, but it's like, don't come off judgmental. Everybody has a past. And I really felt like 2 years was like
Hmm.
long enough ago that people change.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So then,
I feel like he wasn't letting up.
he wasn't. So then he admits to having trust issues, which I guess that's really why he reacted the way he did. But he appreciates that she was honest, and he says as long as she is willing to continue to be honest with him, that he can accept anything about her. We gonna see, but that's what he's saying. So they made up. And they good or whatever. You think he gonna be able to like stick to that, or you think he gonna get judgmental
Yeah, I
again?
think so. I
Okay.
think he realized that he was doing a little too much.
Yeah, like, later on, we'll talk about it in a second, but later on in episodes, it seemed like he really, like, loves her. Like, I think, like, because he was like, when he thought he was gonna lose her after he dropped that bomb on her, he was crying and stuff. Like, I think he really, like, has some real feelings for Aaliyah.
Yeah, I
So
think so.
Izzy and Stacy, he discusses their connection, but he would like her to get deeper with him. I guess he feels like it's more surface level. And then Stacy feels like being able to have fun is at the top of her list versus getting in all these like deep emotional conversations. We don't got to talk about that much
Yeah,
yet, unless you got something to add.
yeah. No, I ain't got nothing to
Okay.
add on that one.
So Chris, he's really feeling Johnny. They have like a little spa date thing. They have, in my opinion, out of all the couples, they got the best chemistry. Like the way they were kind of bantering, going back and forth. They were able to get deep, like they talked about like some deep stuff with like her exes, and then obviously like Chris's past and his virginity and stuff, but they also seem to have fun. They're able to like laugh. They laugh a lot when they're together. I feel like they're the best match out of everybody, but Johnny is so blinded by Izzy that she can't see it. What you think? You
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they a good match, but I feel like after the whole Izzy thing and how she do Chris, like
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think she the one for him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I was rooting for Chris at that point. I was like, better not take her back.
Yeah.
So then we have Izzy and Johnny. They have their date, and Izzy opens up about growing up Jehovah's Witness, and then he tells the story about like, cause you had kids in school too that like were Jehovah's Witness, and like they couldn't like participate in any of like the little holiday parties and
Yeah.
stuff. Like that was
Hmm.
that kind of I felt I always felt bad for those kids.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
they
That
didn't
was a
stand for,
bad
like, the
thing.
pledge or anything, remember?
Yep.
So, basically a neighbor invited him to come do the Easter egg hunt, I guess, like, across the street or whatever, and so he went over there, wasn't thinking nothing of it. He Easter egg hunts, all that candy and them eggs and stuff as a kid, like, Easter egg hunts used to be the thing, and so then, his dad come across the street and snatches him up. And then he was just confused, and then he's like, "Well, I couldn't go back to my house after that." He's like, because it just upset him so bad that he went to his cousin's house, and then that's when he learned from his cousin that his dad was not really his dad. So we find out that they had been lying to make it seem like that was his biological father this whole time, but it wasn't. What did you think about that? Like, I think that kinda, like, becomes part of his identity issues in terms of, like, I think he may have a little self-hate in as to why he wouldn't like a
Yeah, I
Lydia.
think so. Yeah, that could be true. Yeah. I
Yeah.
believe that for
So
sure.
then,
You can tell he
Johnny
got some issues.
Jo and it wasn't funny, but Johnny was like, "Okay, so just to confirm," I feel like she's like, "You're not Jehovah's Witness anymore, right?" And he was like, "Oh, girl, no."
Yeah.
He was like, "I got
Yeah.
my first Christmas
Yeah.
tree in 2018, and I left it up till April or May."
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So,
a
it
trip.
came off like the way Izzy was talking, he wants to join in on somebody's, like, family traditions. So, it seemed like maybe he's a little estranged with his family now that he's gotten older and stuff.
Mhm.
And Johnny starts talking about her relationship or connection with Chris and telling Izzy that she views Chris more as, like, a friend now. And it seemed like Izzy was just kinda fishing for validation, and I ain't really like that. Like, it's not fair
Yeah.
because he
Yeah, I
didn't
didn't like that
validate
either.
her.
Yeah, he didn't, but he was fishing.
Mhm. And he did that again with
Yeah.
Stacy later, talking about something, "Where are you with the L word?" And I'm just like, when she ready, she'll say it. But anyway,
Mhm.
JP and Taylor, JP proposes, Taylor says yes. We finally done with them because they've been boring. Chris and Johnny, Johnny breaks things off with Chris. She says emotionally she has a stronger connection with someone else. We know that someone else is Izzy. Chris takes it as well as
Mhm.
can be expected, but then he's like, "You don't have to stay in here." I think he was trying to get her to hurry up and leave so that he could cry and she didn't have to hear him crying. But he took it
Yeah.
pretty hard.
Yeah, he took it very hard. I just feel like I don't know, I feel like she lost out on a good thing.
Yeah. I felt like she wanted Izzy because he was a hot commodity. It was one of those things like, "Oh, all the other girls want him,
Yeah.
so if I can get him, then,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah,
what it
that's
was
what I
giving
feel
for
like
me."
too.
And then I
Mhm.
think she toxic, so she wanted something toxic, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then
I think so.
Izzy and Johnny have their date. Johnny brings up that she cut off things with Chris. Izzy lets her know that Chris was, pretty broken up about it, and she's like, "Oh, dang, like I didn't know he took it hard or whatever." And she feels bad, but then she's saying she feels the relationship with Chris would have just been the safer option, but not necessarily like what she wanted. So then Johnny starts talking about her past. I guess she had an ex. They broke up. She got married to some other man. And then a couple years after she had broken up with the ex overdosed and died. And and she's saying the ex was the only man she ever loved. So it's like, well, why did you marry somebody that you didn't
Mhm.
love? So that's red flags, just red flags. And as it's confusing me why she don't see why Izzy sees that as a red flag. Like, what did you think about that? Because
Yeah.
Izzy, he's kind of like questioning her, like, well, then, like, how do I know like you can love anybody else again? If you like married somebody else knowing you were still in love with your ex. Like, how do I know you really love are gonna love me?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I don't know. I feel like she can be a little out there to me, or kind of like self-centered, I feel like. So yeah.
Agreed. It felt like
Yeah, I don't get why she didn't understand it.
she tried to start guilt tripping him too on her way out, remember? And I'm just like, I don't like
Mhm.
this. This ain't
Yeah.
cool. So then she get back to the lounge. She
Yeah.
telling the ladies that Chris seems to care more, and she started like talking shit about Stacy. And I'm like, girl, why is you like Stacy ain't got nothing to do? You know, I hate women that do that. Like Stacy ain't said nothing about
Mhm.
this woman as far as what we see. So like, why is she talking crap about Stacy?
Yeah.
I ain't even like great like Stacy fan or nothing, but like Stacy ain't been talking about them. Stacy been worrying about her connections.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like she definitely got something against Stacy. I can tell the way she look at
Hmm.
her.
So then we get JP and Taylor. They're getting ready to do their big reveal. And so Taylor's about she had a dream the night before of this guy with blonde hair, tan skin, and really white teeth. And I'm sitting there like, girl, that ain't JP. I'm not nothing she listed on there was JP. So how we're this is the end of episode 2. What were you thinking was gonna happen like with their reveal?
Oh, no, I thought it would go fine
Yeah.
though. Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
gonna
So
go fine.
then they meet. They kiss when they first meet, which is a good sign because there's been some where like the folks didn't even want to kiss the person. You know what I mean? So then she mentions in her confessional that she wouldn't have gone for him normally, like in, outside of the experiment due to his teeth. Um, what did you think about that? I ain't gonna lie. The first thing I look at, I don't expect people's teeth to be perfect, but that is something that because when people talk to me, I look at their mouth. That's just something that I do. I don't know why. So like I'm
Yeah.
gonna notice. That's like the first thing I'm gonna notice. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really think too much by it. I
Mhm.
mean, I guess she entitled to how she feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So then she keeps
Everybody got
kind
their
of
pick.
laughing a little awkwardly, but and there keeps being like these little awkward silences. But she said that kind of happened in the pods too. So I don't know. I'm just like, I hope they got. I'm like, did she just get engaged to him because he was nice? You know what I mean? Like, because I was kind of like that before I met Jordan. You know, I've told you stories. Like, I had one guy just kind of started talking to me, basically, essentially just told me I was boring before
Yeah.
I met my husband. But when I met Jordan, it was just like I was comfortable immediately just talking about anything. So I'm like, should she have waited till it was somebody that like, and she ain't gonna have these awkward pauses and stuff with? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe so. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
gonna be interesting, I guess, to see where it go
Yeah.
with them two.
But she claiming she don't care about looks anymore through this experiment. So we'll see. So then we have
Yeah.
Izzy and Stacy. Izzy says that it's getting hard and he wants to know if she's starting to picture a future with him. And then Izzy's worry, his one of his worries is that love that he gives out won't be reciprocated, and Stacy is afraid of abandonment. So this is kind of one of the first times they're getting a little more deeper with their conversations, but I don't know, it wasn't much to me. Like you said, when they in the pods, it's kind of tough to get much out of it.
Yeah, it is the pod and stuff.
So Uche and Aaliyah likes to eat Splenda packs and honey, just like by themselves, not even the Splenda and the honey together, just like a spoon of honey by itself and just opening Splenda packs and eating them. A little weird. She says she would like to peek at him when he showers, and Uche doesn't think he has any weird things about him. Then basically describes being OCD. What did you think about that? Or nothing to
Yeah, I
add?
mean, I feel like Uchi probably. I don't know. He seems so reserved. Like so, he's so like mysterious sometimes. So I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah.
I guess he thought OCD was just the best answer to say.
Mhm. So then we see Lydia and Milton. I just don't see it with them. He talking about something about being a Pokemon player. He asked her biggest accomplishment. She says her degrees. He says his biggest trauma because she asked him about his biggest trauma in life, and he says that he found out he had scoliosis and was going into organ failure when he was younger, and he had to have surgery on his spine. He says he knows he's not going to live a long time because of his height, but he really, I don't know. Some people thought he was serious. I think he was just saying that to slip in there like, I'm tall. Didn't you? Is that how you took it too? Because that seemed like
Yeah,
that's
I
how Lydia
thought.
took it about the height thing.
Yeah, I feel like I think he was maybe trying to slip it in there because of that, but it was hard to tell really
Yeah, I don't know if it was just
with
the
that one.
editing and maybe there was like more stuff in between the spine stuff and him making that comment or what, but like I don't know.
Hmm.
I couldn't tell. I took it as him trying to slip it in,
Yeah,
but I don't know. He could have been serious about he thought he was gonna die young. I don't know. But I mean,
yeah,
he
he
seems like
might
he's
have.
trying to open up a little more, but I just don't they don't have chemistry to me. Outside of that first conversation, it now she seems forced going forward.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of do seem forced with them too.
Yeah. So then we get
Yeah, I don't
Johnny.
know if that's.
Oh, go ahead.
Hmm.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. As the episodes went on, I'm like maybe, but
Hmm.
I don't know. It just seemed like Lydia really looking for love. Maybe she'll find it with him,
Yeah.
but it also seemed like she kind of still got feelings for other people too. I'll just say it like that.
Hmm. Alright, so then we get Johnny and Izzy. Izzy decides to explain to her the difference in their connection versus his connection with Stacy. This was a bad idea from the start. I don't know why he felt the need to do this. Like, you don't do that. That's just messy and just I didn't like it. I didn't like
Yeah,
it. What did you think?
yeah, I didn't like it either.
So he basically describes his relationship with Johnny like they're just trauma bonding, essentially. But he feels like Stacy knows him better and it's easy and more fun or whatever. So then Johnny thinks that Stacy is just like his version of Chris, like what Chris was for her, just a safe choice for Izzy. And then Izzy ends up ending things with Stacy. So then Johnny once again goes back to the lounge and resorts to shit talking Stacy with the other girls. And I'm just like, why do you need to talk bad about Stacy? Stacy don't even, from what we see, does not mention Johnny at all in her conversations
Mhm.
with Izzy. So like, why do you feel the need to do that?
Yeah, it's a mess. It's just messy.
So then you have the girls encouraging her to have a convo with Chris. What did you think she should reach out to Chris after that, or like the way she been shit talking him and all her combos with Izzy, he's gonna see it back when the show airs. So
Yeah, I feel like she was just being desperate then. She just wanted to go back to him because she
mhm,
felt safe with him and she was mad because the other
yeah,
guy had broke up with her.
I agree. So then we get Izzy and Stacy, and he basically I didn't like him basically trying to call Johnny drama. Even though she is drama, don't be messy. So then Stacy says
Mhm.
she's going to stay out of it. Basically, it ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm gonna let her do what she do. We don't talk about you, so whatever. So then he again, like we said earlier, he fishing for like reassurance, asking her if she, fishing for whether or not she loves him or whatever. Like when is she gonna say it? I ain't like that. And she basically says she ain't had a boyfriend in over 4 years. And Izzy looks visibly bothered by this. Now I feel like he's rethinking his decision. What did you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was a little bothered by it, but I feel like you say, he just fishing and he don't even know himself what he want to do to me, really. You
Exactly.
know?
So then we get in the guys' lounge. Yeah. And we got Chris talking to Uche, Izzy, and JP. And he feels like he's Izzy's backup plan. Like he's the backup plan for Johnny. Like if this don't work with Izzy, then I'll go back to Chris. Which if that was her plan, she should have just kind of kept Chris around. And once Izzy broke up with her, she would have still had Chris as an option. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
she wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
So Chris and Johnny, they have a conversation. She basically opens up with, the fact that Izzy ended things with her. So at least she was honest. Like, because some people may have been like, yeah, me and Izzy's, we mutually decided not to talk anymore. No, she was honest. Izzy broke up with me. So she
Yeah.
says she still wants to pursue things with Chris. She says she wonders if she repeated a pattern with Izzy and says he's emotionally unavailable. She then calls Chris the safe choice and less exciting, and that hurt Chris's feelings. What did you think? Like, I
Yeah.
understand where Chris coming from. Like, well, don't be calling me boring.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand where he coming from too. And I think they didn't need to try to revisit it at all.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think they should have just left it
I
where it
I
was.
agree. My thing with
Yeah.
this whole experiment, I get like not being somebody's first choice, but I feel like she went about it the wrong way too. Because then she continued to like talk bad about him to Izzy, or like their talk bad about their connection to Izzy. You know what I mean? And she shouldn't have did that. Like, in this experiment so short, like they explained they're only in the pods for 10 days. So it's like you really can't be mad if you weren't somebody's first choice, because off of first impressions, they may have thought they liked that person better. You know what I mean? But then as the
Hmm.
time went on, they may realize, oh no, I really liked Chris better. You know what I mean? But she just
Hmm.
went about it the wrong
Yeah.
way. So then she had the nerve to
Hmm. That's
ask
how
him
I
if he
feel.
she got the nerve to ask if he thinks they're ready for an engagement. Why would she ask that? Like, I didn't even tell you I was ready to like forgive you yet.
Yeah. I think she was just, I feel like she was just trying to get some TV time, really. Yeah. That's how I feel because she wasn't even making sense at that point.
Yeah, I'm just like, girl, an engagement, you just already been broken up with me, talking bad about our connection, and then you think like what conversation, and I'm like, yeah, let's get married. No, that's not how this works.
Hmm.
So then he just
Yeah.
tells her he needs some time to think about it. And then she had the nerve to seem like she was kind of upset about it. It's like, girl, you made your bed and I lied it. So then Chris goes back to the guys' lounge and he's comparing notes with Izzy. Basically, like, he like, all right, how did it go? Izzy being kind of nosy. I think Izzy kind of still, he's kind of thinking, oh, I maybe should have picked Johnny. So they comparing notes and they figure out that Johnny basically told them both the same thing, just like on the opposite end. Like both said like each other was like what she usually goes for, but that's not the truth. So now it's like there's this like dishonesty there, kind of. What did you think?
Yeah. I mean, I get where they were coming from,
Hmm.
but she just, I don't know. I just feel like Johnny kind of all over the place to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. So then we get Uche pressing Milton about whether he's ready for an engagement. At first, I didn't get it, but now I do. Now that we know what we finna find out in the next scene. So then Aaliyah is confiding in Lydia about Uche, and Lydia looks visibly bothered. Like you could tell, like her face just looked kind of uncomfortable. Like, cause Aaliyah's talking about something. I think I'm in love. I think I love Uche and stuff. And Lydia is making like weird faces. So then Uche and Aaliyah have a date. They both wrote each other poems. And then Uche finally tells Aaliyah that Lydia is his ex. And that's where they stopped episode 3. What did you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was kind of interesting, but I feel like they all must live near the, like, I don't know how they
Yeah.
do the whole picking.
So they pick a they so that it has a chance of actually working, they do like a city. So this year
Okay.
it's in Houston. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I felt like. Did they all pick castmates that live kind of around the same
Mhm.
city limits or whatever?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of interesting. But then it started to kind of all make sense too
Mhm.
with the way Lydia was acting and stuff.
Yeah,
So
I agree. Cause I was
yeah,
like, something wasn't adding up. So then they opens up
yeah.
episode 4. And they show us the clip of Lydia and Uche's date in the pods, like that first day. So immediately Lydia recognized his voice. Uche didn't know who the hell she was. So that shows me how important Lydia was to him. Like, I felt like once he knew her
Yeah.
name, he should have, like, if she was like a real ex, you know what I mean? He should have been like, "Oh, this must be Lydia." You know what I mean? Unless Uche just out here like that. Like Uche just out here fucking people. I don't know what Uche doing or what you think.
Yeah. 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 I think she clearly has stronger feelings for him overall than he did for her.
Yeah. And then she tried to cheat the process. Talking about something, well, do you want to just start at zero and then and we can, we can just we can get to know each other all over again. He's kind of like, well, that's kind of like not with the experiment because we already know what each other looks like. Like that's not we can't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I think he just didn't really want her, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he's into her.
Yeah. So then Aaliyah is clearly kind of shaken up about it. And she needs a moment. So she has to like step out. She comes back and she's like, she wants to have a conversation with Lydia because they become friends, in the ladies' lounge. So Aaliyah has to confirm with Uche that he doesn't want to be with Lydia. Like he's just confirmed. She's like, do you want to be with her? Like, you have anything for Lydia? And he says he doesn't. So then Uche tells Aaliyah that Milton isn't ready to marry anyone, let alone Lydia, I guess. And it's like, why you worry about what Milton want to do with Lydia?
Yeah.
Like we talking about me and you. Why we bringing this up? And so then Aaliyah has to confirm with Uche, like, did you ever love Lydia? And he says he didn't. So, and I believe him honestly on that. So then we
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
Izzy
I
and
believe him.
Stacy. Izzy goes ahead and proposes. Stacy says yes. When Stacy returns to the ladies' lounge, though, Johnny looks so bothered. It ain't funny, but like she was like, "I'm happy for you," or something. She said, "Remember?" I was like,
Yeah.
"This girl." Then she in her confessional crying. I'm like, okay. So then we get Chris and Johnny. She laying it on thick. She tried to get this man to take her back, but our boy Chris, he stood up. And he's like, he had time to think, and he says that he cares about her, but he needs to be selfish this time. And he wants to choose someone that always chooses him. He doesn't want to be the second
Yeah.
choice. And I was like, thank you, Chris. Thank
Yeah. I
you.
was glad he
So
did
I
that.
don't know if I believe that he's never gonna reach back out to her, but he did. I think you need to do this, at least make her sweat a little bit. And if she really, really does want to be with you, then she'll try to reach back out outside of the show or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I was glad that he stood up and didn't take her back.
Mhm. So then
Yeah.
Aaliyah tells Lydia that she knows about her and Uche, and they hugging and crying and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is going okay, I guess. And then Lydia starts sabotaging. Lydia just sabotaged the whole relationship. Like she
Yeah.
talking about, she keeps saying that Aaliyah is so similar to her and stuff. And it's like, girl, no, she not really, in my opinion, she not. And then she keep telling her all this info about Uche. Like when Aaliyah keeps saying, I don't want to know these things because I want to learn things about Uche from Uche. Like
Yeah.
I don't want you to tell me things about him. I want to learn this stuff
Yeah.
from him. So then she tries to like it's like she's trying to make it clear how serious they were by telling she tells Aaliyah that she met his friends. And I was just like, oh, okay, so you're just trying to make it clear to her, like we were kind of serious because I met his friends. Then she tells Aaliyah that they had sex 3 months ago. And I was like, all right, this bitch is trying to sabotage. She don't want Uche with Aaliyah. She don't want Uche with Aaliyah. And then she lies. It says that Uche is the one that wanted to start from zero. When she clearly said that in the clip and he said no. So what did you
Yep.
think about Lydia in this scene? Like she really pissed me off. I am the biggest Uche fan, but Lydia was sabotaging.
Yeah, I didn't like the way she did that, and it's almost like she was trying to make the girl not want to talk to him anymore. I don't
Mhm.
think that was right
It's
at
like she kept
all.
I don't know how much editing it was, but she just kept going on and on about it. And I felt like Aaliyah kept
Mhm.
saying like, "No, I don't wanna hear anything about him."
Yep.
And she
Yeah,
just
she
kept
definitely didn't
saying
respect
stuff.
it.
So then
Mhm.
Uche and Aaliyah, they get to talk. And she makes it clear that if she doesn't trust him, that she won't be with him, basically. That's how she
Yeah.
starts out the combo. And she basically says that Lydia mentioned that he considered starting from ground zero, and he denies that, which he did not say that. Lydia said that. So then he tries to say it's just as hard for him as it is for her. And she's like, no, it's not. Because I'm the one sitting over here with your ex that you fucked 3 months ago. And Uche is like, I don't know. He really trying to smooth it out because, and he's emotional over there. He's crying and stuff, and he's just trying to smooth it out. I could tell he really cares about Aaliyah, but it's like you chastised her for being a cheater or whatever in the past, and you've been sitting here and lying to her this whole time. You knew Lydia was
Yeah.
your ex. You knew she was here. What did you think about
Mhm.
this conversation? Because they seem to make up after it. Seem to.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it yeah, I mean, I thought it was a little rough, but it was a needed conversation. So,
Agreed. I
yeah.
was definitely on Aaliyah's side with it. Like, I understood
Yeah.
kinda where Uche was trying to come from, but he should have been upfront from the jump. Cause she probably wouldn't have got
Yeah.
really buddy-buddy with Lydia like that if she knew Uche was,
Mhm.
like, at her top.
Yeah.
So then
But I'm sure the producers made them wait like that.
probably. So then Milton and
Yeah.
Lydia have their date, and she tells him about dating Uche in the past. Milton needs a second to process. He's like, "Can we come back in, like, 5 minutes? I just need a second." And she crying and boohooing. And of all people, I guess this must be well, actually, before that, she starts trying to love bomb him before he says he needs a second. She just love bombing, trying to like make him stay. And it's just like, girl, you are not honest with this man. So he needs a moment. So then of all the people that are comforting her
Yep.
in the ladies' lounge, it's Stacy. So I'm like, at this point, I guess Aaliyah like, I can't fuck with Lydia right now. Cause the
Yeah.
Lydia and Aaliyah have been the ones that have been there for each other, but it's clear that Aaliyah like, I can't fuck with this bitch right now. So Stacy had to comfort her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Stacy kind of calming her
Yeah.
down and trying to reason with her. Milton comes back to talk to her and he apologized and said he just needed a second. And he asked if it was recent, and she kind of provides somewhat of a timeline. Like they started during, I guess, COVID or whatever. And then but then she's like, oh, and then I decided a few months ago that I needed to just let him go. I'm like, well, that make it seem like, because I think this filmed last year, so that makes it seem like y'all were together for like 2 years. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So then,
Yeah.
which is not accurate. It seemed like they kind of saw each other every now and then. Is what I'm taking from it. Because if they met in 2020 and kind of started talking in, he would have recognized her voice,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't need to do this start from zero thing. I think he just hit it a few
Yeah, I think
times.
so.
I think they went on some dates. He
Mhm.
hit it a few times. It was never nothing serious.
Yeah, I think so.
So, then he says that if he knew this day one or two, if Milton knew this day one or two, that he would have stopped talking to Lydia because it just seems messy. And it is. And I don't blame Milton. So she gonna start crying and
Mhm.
stuff, and he's realizing that he doesn't have it as together at 24 as he thought he did. So I think he's second guessing, like, am I even ready to marry somebody right now? So yeah, that's kind
Yeah.
of where they left on that point. And then Izzy and Stacy, they get their big reveal. I knew she was gonna be Izzy's type, so I wouldn't worry about it. He's shaking so bad, but then she started shaking too. But she do seem to be attracted to him. But all these reveals be kind of awkward because it's like you've been talking to this person, and then it's like y'all ain't even been able to hold hands
Yeah.
before, and now y'all kissing and hugging. You know what I mean? It was all weird. What did you think?
Mhm.
I thought they
Yeah,
were
it was
attracted
pretty
to each other.
cool. Yeah, they seem like they like each other a lot.
Yeah. So then we
Yeah.
get Milton and Lydia. They having a conversation. Milton talks about having their like, he would have to sacrifice some things to make them work. He asked about the age difference again, like, making sure, like, "Are you comfortable with our age difference?" And she assures that she is. And then she says that she's willing to move anywhere with him because he's like, "Well, what if my job says, 'Oh, Milton, you gotta move to Argentina?'" And she's like, "Well, I'll pick up and move to Argentina." I'm like, "Girl, okay, you just wanna be on TV, but okay." But, so Milton proposes and Lydia says yes. Were you surprised that Milton actually proposed? I kinda was.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that he did because
Yeah,
at first it seemed like he wasn't.
I didn't know if he was ready, like, especially since he wasn't talking to none of the guys about it.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was kind of shocking.
So then we end this episode off, this first batch of episodes with Uche and Aaliyah. So Uche shows up to the pool, I mean, to the pods. He's ready to propose to Aaliyah. And the producers basically have to tell him that Aaliyah has decided not to continue with the experiment. So she didn't even show up, didn't tell the man she was leaving, nothing. She just dipped out. What did you think about that? I don't blame her. I'm with Aaliyah.
Yeah, I don't blame her, but I still feel like she could have came and just told him. That's how I
But he
feel.
put her in that position, like, he sat out there he really honestly I woulda did what she did because he made her look stupid. Like, he was playing in her face, like, he knew that this other woman was over there that he fucked 3 months ago. Like, obviously, he probably didn't know they had gotten close in the pods or whatever, like, but because he's not over there. But it's just like, you don't have me out here looking stupid. And then you got this woman, like, and then she making her look stupid too. Being all buddy buddy with her, knowing Uche is her number one. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I don't know. I just didn't. I
I
ain't
just
like
feel
it.
like if he would have told her, like, I feel like the producers didn't let him tell her because they wanted them to pair
Hmm.
up. Because I feel like if he would have told her that in the beginning, she would have never talked to him.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's messy. I feel like he should have told her. Well, obviously we don't know the timeline on this, but I don't know the way they made it seem like he waited a while to tell her. But I feel like he should have told her maybe like I don't know. Like, maybe by, like, date 3, once they kinda know, like, day 3, they know they wanna, like, move forward with each other, he shoulda told her then. Because you at least built a foundation where it's gonna be hard for her to just move on to somebody else, but don't have
Yeah,
her out here just looking stupid.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so then I didn't really take notes on the preview or whatever, but we saw a bunch of different stuff. It looked real messy coming up. It looked like I think we saw Uche try to ask Lydia, like, well, did you just want to get back with me? Like, not like he wants to get back with her, but like, is she trying to sabotage something or something? We see Milton
Yeah.
dressed up like he actually did make it at least to the altar. So, I don't
Mhm.
know. And then didn't it seem like, what's the man? Izzy was, like, still interested in Johnny or something in the preview? I don't know. It
Yeah.
was some
Yeah, it was a
mess.
lot going on in the preview for
But
sure.
then I don't like how he keep trying to, like, sabotage things because it seemed like Chris is kinda open to getting to know Johnny, but just doing it outside of the process so he can make sure it's for the right reasons, you know what I mean? But it seemed like Izzy keep trying to sabotage that because he was like, "She told me she loved me," or something.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot
So,
going on with Izzy. He
yeah.
seemed like he a mess.
Yeah,
Like he messed.
agreed. So, let's do this. We're gonna just to end off the podcast, we are gonna make our predictions on who we think of the couples, and we're gonna include Uche and Aaliyah, even though they're not engaged yet, but I just got a feeling that they're gonna get back in the process. Who do you think will get married? Will actually say yes, or like which in the couples will say yes and who will say no. We're gonna do like our early predictions. Okay. So let's start with
Okay.
JP and Taylor. Who you think like do you think they'll both say yes? You think one will say yes at the altar and one won't? What do you think?
I think they'll both say yes.
Okay, I agree.
JP and Taylor.
I agree. So we both think JP and Taylor. Okay, and then let's do Izzy and Stacy. Do you think I think they're both gonna say no. if they even make it to the altar. Actually, I don't even think they're gonna make it to the altar.
Yeah, I think if they make it to the altar, I think Stacy gonna say no.
And Izzy will say yes.
Hmm.
Okay. And then Milton and Lydia.
I think I think Lydia gonna say yes and Milton gonna say no.
Okay. Hmm. If they make it there, Lydia, I think she'll say yes. I don't know because I want to say Milton would say yes, but his family in that preview, they was like, "What does a 3-year-old want with a 24-year-old?" So I'm like, I it, if his family's important to like, not saying, you know what I mean, like you know, how some people their family can like affect their decisions in that way. Milton saying no. So yeah, I agree. I think Milton says no, Lydia says yes. And then Aaliyah and Uche, I think if they get back in the process going forward, I think they will both say yes.
Yeah, I think they will both say yes.
Okay. And did we want to consider Johnny and Chris if they decide to jump back in the process at all or
No, I don't. Because I don't think she a good fit for Chris.
okay. So we think that Milton will say no, Lydia will say yes. You think Izzy will say yes and Stacy will say no. I think they
Hmm.
both gonna say no, or they won't even make it to the altar. And then we think both think Uche and Aaliyah will say yes, and then we both think JP and Taylor will say yes. So we'll see what happens as these episodes come out. But yeah, this is where we're gonna wrap up on this one. And we're gonna try to we're gonna get these out quick, while it's hot, you know how Love is Blind is. So yeah, we're gonna try to keep getting these episodes out pretty quick. But my name is Candace. You can find me on Instagram at Simply Candace.
And my name is Monica. You can find me on Instagram at Monica Rose Lifestyle.
All right, and this podcast episode will be up the video version on YouTube as usual, and then we also have it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the podcast places. So if you're ever in the car, you want to hear the podcast, you don't have to just listen on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. And we thank you guys for listening to us, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.